The Fresno Focus Radio Hour. This is the No Focus Radio Hour. Comedy and insight from the greatest minds in Fresno. A Lightomine Media production. That's right. This is the No Focus Radio Hour, the #1 independent podcast in the Central Valley. Thank you for listening, and thank you for telling a friend. The No Focus Radio Hour is available anywhere podcasts can be found, including Rumble and your home smart speakers. Remember to subscribe and leave a review. It helps others discover our show. And while you're reviewing, keep in mind that 5 stars is the correct number of stars. If you enjoy our show, please share it with your friends. But if you hate it, share it with your enemies. Check out our site, nofocusradio.com, for exclusive content and to vote on Don's polls. We haven't had one for a while. It's okay. Find us on social media. Our handle is at nofocusradio. Find the rest of our shows at lightominemedia.com.
I can't be with you, you know it's true. And you know just what I got to do.
What do you gotta do?
I'm gonna hit that ground running. Running just as fast as I can.
Ooh.
Gonna hit the ground running to my favorite podcast in Fresno.
Oh, God, we sound better without everybody else. That's right. This is the No Focus Radio Hour, the #1 independent podcast in the Central Valley. It's made for those who live in the Central Valley, for those who miss the Central Valley, those who long to live in the Central Valley, and for those who
are getting ready for the heat to make a visit to us in the Central Valley.
A long visit, staying for a while.
Yeah, I think we're done with the rain.
Jeez. We don't have our beautiful cast of characters, but we do have one of them. We have the Doorman.
Oh, hey, Fresno. Am I beautiful?
You're gorgeous. You're the best looking guy in the room.
You are beautiful, no matter what they
True.
say.
For a grandpa, you look great.
Yeah. Oh, your grandkids must enjoy that.
Can't believe that's real.
Yeah, I can't
That's
believe
so
she
funny.
told me that girl. Yeah.
Oh,
anyway.
geez.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Excited about the show, and we also have a great show. We also have behind the board the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Max Johnny Knobs.
Hey-o!
Hey, whoa!
Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Just making noises. All right.
You got excited there for a second.
Too excited.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, I was. The other day, I was down at a local food vendor, and he was saying getting some great tacos, and we were eating our tacos and having some fun. And he said, "Hey, you know that guy did you do that show with?" I said, "Yeah, that Stu." He goes, "No, not that guy." I go, "Oh, the other guy, Don.
Yeah.
No, not that guy. That guy, Johnny. Oh yeah, Johnny Knobs." He goes, "How did that guy get his name?"
You want to know?
Yeah, I want to know. He wants to know.
Yeah?
Everyone wants to know.
Truly, I have no idea. You guys gave me that name, I'm pretty sure.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh!
Laugh track day. When there's only a few of us, we do laugh tracks.
Yeah, we need some extra audience participation here. I thought it was because you control the
volume. That's true.
That's why you got it. Yeah, thank you.
I apologize. I'm going to be really annoying with the board today.
That's our live studio audience today.
Oh, gosh. I don't know how to stop it. Oh, my God. When I don't have to monitor 4 mics, I have a hand that can be over here.
You got a free hand?
Buttons.
Well, just keep it above board.
That's right.
Keep it on the buttons. We're all good.
Hey, so I don't know what's new with you. Last we were hanging out. We had a friend of the show, Jason Dam, on.
Yeah,
he told us about his book, Hudson's Quest to Neptune. You can find that link in last week's show notes. And we also talked about big bore drilling. Yeah, but
he actually stayed with us a couple of shows. By the way, thank you. If you're listening, Jason, thanks again, man. It was great having you on. We really enjoyed it. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. Welcome anytime.
Yeah.
And yes, anything new since then?
No, I'm trying to open, trying to get my third eye working. Have you heard about that?
That's the one from Lord of the Rings. No.
No, that's Sauron, right? That eye in the mountain.
There's the
tower.
One, Friend of the Dragon, right? The Dragon Boy.
Dragon Boy. You know
what I'm
House of the
about?
Dragon. Talking about
that friggin' dragon show.
The Dragon
with Amelia
show?
Clark.
Oh yeah. You're talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he has a third eye, right?
Oh, that guy that's the Raven. Yeah, he can see. It's called the Raven.
No, the Raven.
The Raven.
They don't call it the third eye?
No, he's called the Raven. No, the
that
third
show
eye.
sucks.
Third eye, though. Have you ever heard of that? Seriously, it's the pineal gland. Supposedly, like right in the middle of your forehead. I'm pointing to Max right now.
Did you just say your pineal gland? That's not on your forehead.
No, it's a gland. It's a gland up in there. It's supposedly the idea is you conspiracy guys out there, stay with me here. Supposedly the idea is that over time that thing gets calcified, but if you can do certain things to decalcify it, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's why I wanted. It's like an antenna, and you can get all these vibrations, and supposedly you have these really vivid, cool dreams and all kinds of stuff. But it's like an awakening. Have you ever heard of that? No,
I'm just really interested about your calcified.
Try the
calcified pineal gland.
Look up the pineal gland. Look it up. It's a real thing.
Pineal gland?
No. It's spelled Pineal.
I don't know, man.
There it is. Pin. Yeah, he's looking it up right now.
Yeah, it looks like a pineal gland.
It's on the back, so it shows us kind of in the back right there by the hypothalamus. You got the hypothalamus. You
located deep in the brain in an area called the epithalamus.
Yeah.
Where the two halves of the brain join. In humans, it's situated in the middle of the brain, but nobody knows what it does. It's functions related to our senses.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like it's kind of like a receiver. It's supposed to be, and you get an awakening in somehow.
What do? How do you do that?
No, I'm trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it like you rub it?
No, you can't feel it. What are you talking about now?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I was bringing it up. I thought for sure Johnny Knobs would have the answer on this one.
You know who might have
the
the
answer? So see right there, it
to
says third eye. You were looking it up right there on the Google.
Here we go. How does a person awaken
spell it correctly.
Their pineal gland?
Their
pineal.
No. Pineal.
Pineal gland.
Okay, don't spell it. Don't spell it.
How does a person awaken their pineal gland? There are some practices that are believed to stimulate your pineal gland, including meditation.
Okay.
Sun exposure. Hey, don't whip out your pineal gland in the sun. Sleep. Avoiding fluoride. That's everywhere.
Yeah. See, that's calcified. I told you, it gets calcified.
Yeah. Certain foods and supplements. Interesting.
I have heard that. Well, they're saying here, dark leafy greens, turmeric. Oh, you know what? I do take turmeric.
Yeah.
So maybe, because I have been having some crazy dreams. It says also here, now we're looking for folks we didn't explain. We're looking on Chat GPT.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Chat GPT is telling us.
That's what's telling us how to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust it, but certain types of algae it says, are believed to stimulate it also. They also say skate oil. I think it's some kind of, I don't know, some kind of oil. It's like a little capsule that is supposed to do that too. It decalcifies it, and it's like an awakening.
I said, what is the difference between a pineal gland and a pineal gland?
Okay,
it says there's no such thing as a pineal gland.
Are you making terms up?
It says, on the other hand, there is no gland in the human body known as the pineal gland. The term pineal does refer to the penis, which is a male sexual organ. Ooh, a what sexual organ? A male.
Chat GPT. You're you're in trouble.
Would you say it is a
male sexual organ? Chat GPT is gonna go into.
You're correct.
PC prison.
Here we go. It's important to note that gender identity is a complex, multifaceted construct that encompasses more than just biological sex. So it actually penis could be part of any identity.
It is important to note that gender identity is a complex and multifaceted construct.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. Some people may identify with biological sex. Sexual organs do not determine biological sex. Okay.
Wow. Well, that was good recovery by ChatGPT.
It was a good recovery. I was making sure because I didn't know. I was a bit shocked.
I thought Google was going to take it out right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, provide additional feedback. What is that?
There we go.
Can you give us your all of a sudden it wants to know what our address is, where we're located.
Yeah, I'm going to skip this. I'm getting out of here. I don't want anything to do with this.
Unplug it.
Jeez. Okay.
It's tracking us.
So you've been massaging your pineal gland?
No, I've been trying to figure out how to do that.
Okay.
So, yeah. But anyway, I just want to be awakened. I want to know, what's beyond the veil.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Aren't you ever kind of curious to find out?
No.
No.
About what's beyond my senses?
What's beyond the veil? Is there something beyond what we see as reality?
Yeah, there's a whole spiritual realm. I already believe it, so.
Oh, you're already there.
Yeah, I'm already there.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't need it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind some penile gland stimulation, but I'm just saying that I don't need it for extra. You know, so I know what's going on.
Let's call it Pineal.
Pineal?
Pineal.
I don't know.
Penile doesn't. You're in denial for your penile gland stimulation. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Anyway, what's new with you? What's going on with you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, what has been new? Let me think here. What did I do this last week? And we went to the MCC sale, which is at the at Fresno Pacific. It's the Mennonite Central Committee, I believe. Bree will correct me. It's where they raise money for
the school or.
No, it's at the school, but it actually has nothing to do with the school. They raise money for like work that the Mennonite committee does. So,
like missions and stuff, or
yeah, but they mainly do things like raising. They have groups that will help like feed people in third world countries, and they do a lot of not just mission work, but really kind of helping third world countries build up their communities. And so that's where all the money that they raise goes. So they auctioned off like. Somebody, and it's really cool. People were donating like there was a Mercedes there that you could buy tickets for. There was like a BMW.
What, were they fixed up and nice, or were they?
They were nice. There was one that was like a really nice Mercedes, like one from the like the 70s, like a gorgeous one that only had like 40,000 miles on it. It was like in perfect condition.
What year?
It was a 70 something. I forget.
No, but like was it younger than a 73? 73
I don't
younger?
know. I don't know.
You don't have to smog it if it's younger than 73.
See, there you go. It's really nice. I mean, there's some nice stuff out there. They also have like bakeries, and everybody's making homemade because the Mennonites are famous for like their baked goods. So a lot of like Zwieback, which is like a Mennonite bread, pies, fried fritters, German sausages. They have a whole bunch of stuff. So we did that, which was fun. Gwen, our daughter, had a blast. She was out there. Just it was a beautiful day. So we just went out. And we spent a day hanging out and. It was nice.
There's a big Mennonite community in the valley here,
there
right?
is.
I mean, I didn't realize it. I mean, you can tell. I mean, mostly you can tell by the way they dress most of the time, especially the women, because they wear the long skirts.
Yeah, so that's the they call that old man. Where's my wife when I need her? Old Order, I believe.
Okay.
So there's also
this is like the Mandalorian.
I know. There's also much more modern. So there's actually like Reedley is almost all Mennonite, and you would have no idea. Like my wife's entire family's, they're all Mennonite, but they just look like normal people.
Well, no, but it's interesting because there's a lot of things about the valley that you just don't know.
It's true.
Like, it's like you never would have thought. I never would have thought there was such a community. And then hearing people talk, I'm like, wow, there's really a big, they're like, yeah, it's huge. There's a big Mennonite community around here.
Also very large Ukrainian community. It's a big one. Really interesting. Big couple Ukrainian churches. Had a number of students who were Ukrainian. Two of my students met each other, both Ukrainian in different years, then marry each other and have beautiful Ukrainian children.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So kind of cool. It's kind of, I think that's what was all I did. And then, normal things, prepping for the show. I've been prepping for the show. A lot of things have been coming out. Yeah.
Before we get on to that real quick, I wanted to hit back on the pineal gland here for a minute.
Of course. We should definitely talk more
the other reason I wanted to bring it up, I just wanted to mention is because we didn't really talk about it. I mean, you said that they weren't here, but we are missing two of our cast of characters.
Speaking of pineal glands.
I wonder if they activated theirs, and that's why they're not here. Did they leave us?
I bet you at least one of them hurt their pineal gland. I bet you it was Marty. He was
Marty.
He was telling me. Yeah, Stu was telling me that he had I wouldn't say it was an addiction, but he had a problem with really kind of stimulating that pineal gland. Yeah, so you never know.
Was he trying to? So because it's located right somewhere in the back of your brain. If you maybe just rubbed it too much,
rubbed it a little bit too hard. And
I don't know what's going.
Okay,
I just wanted to bring that up. So
let's talk about some really quick things. This is a good one. Tower District Farmers Market, some local news here.
Okay, what is this?
So we have a new Tower District Farmers Market. They're going to shut down the main street there. It's going to be weekly. Okay. It's going to take over Olive Avenue. Starting, apparently it started on the 20th. So on 4/20, of course. 5 to 9 Thursdays, every Thursday at 5 to 9, that feels like that might really...
It's too much, too aggressive.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think it's going to be that busy all the time.
Too big. Too much out of the gate, maybe.
Yeah, they're gonna have some crafts, fruit and vegetables taking center stage.
You know what would have really been nice is if they would have let those people keep that church in the Tower Theater, then they would have had all those people there. They probably
that's actually really true.
Thursday night, but probably now. I don't know does anybody go to the Tower anymore?
I sure don't. I'll say that much. But you know why they're starting? Because they got a national grant.
Oh, there we go.
The national grant was to help to educate consumers about specialty crops.
Yeah.
So what better way to do that than to have a farmers market?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That Thursday night, I mean, it's kind of cool, but, in the wintertime, there's going to be nobody there.
No.
If it's cold and wet and 5 to 9 in the winter, no.
Also in the summer.
You think? Too hot.
It's hot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could be wrong, but is the Tower District crowd like, I think half of them are pretty like, ooh, we're artsy fartsy. We like, local, whatever. The other half is like, I just want to get beer and live on the street. So I just don't know. I don't know. Tower's got a lot of
it's a different crowd.
Unhoused is what they say now. Unhomed.
Unhomed people.
Unhomed people, which is fine. It's a great place to go hang out with them if you like. There's a lot of dogs running around. It's just kind of like I went there recently and I felt scared.
Really?
I felt dirty. Yeah.
I haven't been down there in a while, and it really is a shame. I mean, the Tower was a beautiful place. It really was.
I really did, though. To be honest, I did feel it was bustling. There's people, but it just felt. I used to go.
It didn't feel like the Tower that we know.
It didn't feel like the Tower I knew. And I know people are going to go, oh, well, that shucks. Well, it's because you're old. Well, no, because the thing is, I spent a lot of time. I lived in Tower for many years, and there was a time though when. You'd walk through Tower. It didn't matter what time. It was night. You used to hang out in Tower every night. And there was a lot of people out, but it still felt pretty safe. It felt safe. Places had their lights on. They were well kept. I went into Irene's, which I love Irene's. But I mean, I think COVID took a toll on a lot of these companies. Like their booths were like trashed and ripped. And there was, I kid you not, a real, when I was talking about dogs, because there was a homeless dog at the front door coming in and out of like the door begging for food.
Really?
The whole thing felt like just kind of I felt unsafe. Like not me personally, but I felt like when I had my wife and my daughter, especially with my daughter, I felt like, man, I have to keep an extra eye on her. Like I couldn't just at most play. I felt like I was walking down the street. I had to be extra vigilant.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to feel extra vigilant. When
listen,
I'm in a place.
we've done many shows down there, and the Tower has always, it's always had a great crowd and a very eclectic crowd, and there's always been, there's always been a few of the homeless, right, that would always kind of run around, and they'd come up and say, hey, you got a couple, you got a buck or whatever. He's like, Mom, I don't have any change. Sorry. Oh, okay, whatever. And they go on their way.
Right.
But it's different now.
It's different.
It's a whole different feel, and. I
there
think
used to be, I didn't call them this, but people would call them Tower Rats. Remember the Tower Rats?
No, I don't.
Tower Rats was like the phrase, because there was a lot of like 15 to 20-year-olds who were
hanging out,
quote unquote homeless. And they just kind of lived in Tower. And they were like homeless by choice.
Yeah.
They had bikes, they had some clothes, a lot of them had like phones, but they just lived on the streets of Tower. And, there was, you kind of see them, you kind of get to know them. A lot of times back when, circa 2000, maybe 7 through 2012, a lot of them would hang out outside of like Roger Rocca's. And I kind of like would get to know some of them.
Yeah. You give them a couple bucks, and stuff. It's like, hey,
hey, what's up, man? Hey, I'm going into Dollar Tree to pick up more, whatever, makeup remover for Fiddler on the Roof. I'll grab you a frozen burrito or something. Like it didn't matter, but it's different now. I didn't mind that. Now I'm sitting at Irene's and there's people reaching over the little wall there, like grabbing at us. And I'm like, I'm not feeling comfortable here anymore. And I feel like it used to be people would say like, hey, leave our patrons alone or get out of here. I feel like they can't do that anymore. So
well, and the drug and the mental health crisis has just really spiked, especially since COVID.
Yeah. And
they don't have a solution right now for it, unfortunately. And it's just getting worse.
Unpopular take.
Uh-oh.
Ready for this?
Yeah.
Get off on a tangent. Maybe we should get off. I'm going to mention it, and then we'll talk about it on another show because it's a big one.
Okay.
My unpopular take is this.
Yes.
Is that we don't have a drug or mental health crisis.
Ooh, okay.
It's that we have a a spiritual and family crisis.
I agree with that.
That's really what it is. I feel like if
so,
we
yeah.
fix those other things, the drug crisis is just like, where does that stem from? That's really what you got to think.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
the drug crisis isn't coming from because like all of a sudden there's drugs falling from the sky. Like, we've always had access to drugs.
Yeah.
Same thing with guns. Everybody's had access to guns.
True.
That is not a gun crisis. We live in a world now that we are being told life means nothing. Like, imagine being
very nihilistic.
Imagine being 18, and for the last 10 years, from when you're 8 years old, you're being told the world's going to come to an end because of global warming. You have no hope. If you don't buy an electric car, you're all going to be dead. The world's going to flood. There's earthquakes. There's more. You're just being told that, and I'm sure you're learning that in school as well. You're being told, shout your abortion, do whatever you want to succeed in life.
Well, you're told that life doesn't mean
anything. You're being told a lot of these things. So imagine how depressed. And then you're also being told, if you are somebody who is who has perhaps gender dysphoria, you are being told, as a child, I'm talking about children here specifically, that if you're feeling
any uncomfortable
in your body, you're being told, instead of being told, you know what, you're beautiful, love yourself, you are a beautiful person the way you are, you're being told, you should be uncomfortable. And in order to feel good, you're going to have to change. Because you're never going to feel good about yourself until you have massive surgery and take hormones. If you think about it that way, think about a child growing up in a world where when they start feeling uncomfortable and every child feels uncomfortable, being told, you can't fix it unless you go through this really extensive stuff, start having doctor's appointments and hormone therapy, as opposed to saying, you know what, you're great now, and helping kids, being encouraged through that, and then saying, let's get to, let's raise them up, let them be kids, give them encouragement for the world. So when they get to 18, 20, whatever, they can then say, if they still have whatever feelings they have, fine, they're old enough to make a decision. However, and by that point, they're going to be more stable. But at this point,
they're not even, their brains aren't even formed yet.
Even developed. A male's brain isn't fully closed until he's 28.
Yeah.
A male's brain is not formed until he's 28. And that's...
Well, here...
mine might not even be formed now.
You're right. You're right about that. I mean, I wouldn't say that the external threats are necessarily any different, but there is something that has changed because, I mean, when I was growing up, right, it was the Cold War. It was Russia's going to get us. Right. It was, it was the whole peak oil at one time. We're running out of oil. It was there were still these threats, and there was still the climate change. I think it was heating up at that time, though. Sure. It was heating up. We're going to burn up.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's weird because you're right. And listen, growing up as a teenager, what I can remember, I wasn't comfortable with anything that I was doing. I mean, you're awkward. You're trying to figure the world out. Also, though, you still had the hope. Though there was hope.
There was hope. There's no hope anymore.
There was hope of that. There's things are going to get better. Though things are going to get better. Right. We're pushing for a world where everybody it's going to get better. Not that it's going to be perfect. Not that your life is perfect. Not that you're not going to have all these scary feelings or scary things externally. But there's hope that it will get better. And you're right. That's what's missing now. There's no hope that anything's going to get better.
We also have a victim culture where you get praised for being a victim.
Yeah, true.
So, when you, instead of being praised in the past for overcoming adversity, you're now being told, well, you can't overcome it. You're incapable of doing it because the world has been set up in a way where you're never going to overcome it.
Well,
imagine being told, being bombarded with that.
And for the young people being told that, but imagine, I mean, we'll get to a story here that we were going to talk about, but imagine being penalized for saving money for a house or having good credit.
Exactly. So you're literally being told, you can't be too good. You can't overcome the lot that you've been given, is what we're being told.
Yeah, true.
You're being told, you've been born into this. Well, guess what? The world hates you and you're stuck that way. Yeah. And it's like, okay. And then you're also being told life doesn't have much meaning. And then you're also being told, and then if you do overcome it, then what do? They say, oh, well, you know what? Now you're part of the problem and we're going to penalize you.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of pineal glands, they're gonna
penalize.
They're gonna penalize you.
Penalize.
That's what they're saying. Like, think of it. It's very hard. So you can imagine
here's
why
the
do people
thing.
turn to drugs. That's why there's a drug.
Here's
problem.
the other thing about that too, because you're not told, but you're told that the solution to your problem is external. It's government. It's all these other, entities that will tell you how to live your life, rather than saying, you know what, you can do it. The old bootstraps thing, pull yourself by your bootstraps. You've got the ability to do it. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody starts the same. Not everybody has the same abilities.
Right.
But you can use those abilities that you do have, and make the best and rise above and make the best of your life and help other people at the same time do the same thing. And you're not told any of that.
Nope.
I go back. I'm thinking maybe we have to do we may just have to do an intervention here and do. Have everybody watch Clockwork Orange style with the with the guys keeping his eyelids open. The Malcolm McDowell character. Watch Breakfast Club, because if you remember that movie, do you remember that movie? Breakfast Club.
That movie,
Don't you forget about me. It had all the kids in high school. That all came from different backgrounds. You had the jock, you had the stoner, you had the smart one,
you had redhead girl, you had all the
cheerleader. You had everybody had detention together, and they all had to stay together, and they learned how to work together and stick together and overcome all the awkwardness together.
Right.
And then the end of that movie, they even said, they wrote the letter to the principal that was keeping him in detention. I'm the jock, I'm the brain, I'm the cheerleader, I'm this, and we are, who we are, and we will overcome type of thing,
Yeah, not anymore.
I'm telling you. What was that?
How it ends.
This is it. That's how it ends. Yeah.
We may have to do that, man. That may have to Breakfast Club everyone. It's going to have to be Breakfast Club's going to be our saving grace. But you're right. It is a spiritual.
That's what it is.
Hey, going back to the pineal gland, it's a spiritual awakening. It needs to happen. And we need to have some kind of spiritual awakening.
And also people will say, and this is a fact. So if people want to, I know people are going to come out and say, "How dare you say that? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?" But there are, and I'll put them in the show notes. It's families, right? So we can pull up multiple studies about how family relationships help the overall well-being of children growing up. And there is the nuclear family has been proven scientifically. I'm not saying this because I think it's not. Let's take me out of it. I'm just going to say this. Scientifically proven studies, the nuclear family creates the most, they've even shown studies of a nuclear family with a mom, a dad, and children, where the dad has been an alcoholic and the mom has been abusive. But even in those terrible situations, having that structure, children come out more successful in life and are able to cope with things more so than families who are raised outside of that structure. Yeah. So there's also a world where we don't put the well-being of children first. There's this idea, like children's rights, if you will. We don't really think about it that way. We think about it of like what is best for me as an adult, and I get it. That's a hard thing to always think about. To put children. A child first. Yeah. And we tend to forget that. We tend to say we can't even have these conversations because it's negative towards certain races. And it's like, I'm not talking about race or anything. I'm talking about race, sexual orientation, whatever it is. But we just have to look at the facts. Those are the facts. And when you have a government that rewards things like, and think about it this way too, we're being taught. So inside the nuclear family, they've also shown people who are spend more time daily with their family have better outcomes in life, and then think about how the government helps us. They tax us more, and then they give money and incentives for you to put your children in daycare and preschool. So they actually they say you have to work, because it's very hard to live, and we're going to take most of that money away. But you know what? We're going to help you by giving you money back to put your kids in if you put them in preschool. So instead of helping me by letting me be with my children,
Yeah.
You're helping me by making me work and put my
Be
kids
away from my children.
Away from my children, being raised by you. Then if you listen to them speak, they will say there's multiple videos, clips, quotes of various people in the government, high up in the government, saying things like, or in education, saying parents don't have the rights. We should be teaching the kids. Like parents do not have the know-how because we are the professionals. So if you think about that, that's just slowly breaking down
and let me
family.
Yeah, you're right. And let me also interject. A lot of those people that make those comments that I have seen too also don't have children of their own. A lot of
That's a lot of them.
Yeah, that is a lot of them. You're right. Well, listen, I just to kind of back up what you're saying as far as the family structure. I mean, I come from a divorced family. I mean, I think I was 9. I'm trying to think. So funny. Like when I think back on my past, it's kind of like all blurred. I can put it by there's certain events in my life that I can link together, but I can't necessarily link together the exact age I was when it happened. But I was probably, I don't know, between 8. Oh my gosh, I'd say probably 8 or 9. And my parents got divorced. And listen, they didn't have a terrible marriage, and they didn't have a great marriage either. I mean, it was kind of falling apart.
Right.
But even as, like you're saying, even that it wasn't great, even there were some things that needed to be fixed in that marriage. But at the same time, when that marriage got broken up, I was shattered.
Right.
And being a child, you don't know, the two people that you need to look up to, to try to guide you through this world now, when they're fighting. And, you're all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I mean, who do I turn to? Who can I turn to?
Right.
Because every family, now the family's got, I mean, I'm just talking my own experience here, folks, but every family's got to pick sides.
Right.
And then, you go to the one side and it's like, well, we're the right side. And you go to the other side, well, no, we're the right side. And I mean, so as a child, you have a hard time. And then the last thing you want to do now, this was a long time ago and it wouldn't be as bad, as far as the government getting involved. But the last thing you want to do as a child is go to the government. But you don't know that at the time, because the school tells you, if you have any problems, come talk to us.
Sure.
And I'm not saying everybody has nefarious motivations behind all their intent there, but
sure.
But, you, like you say, you want to keep it within a family structure, in my opinion.
Yep.
But it
and
did.
Honestly, but once
again,
and I know we're scared to say that, because here's the thing. I know single moms and single dads who have been incredible parents and raised incredible children. But what I'm saying is, statistically and scientifically, I mean, I post them. I have in the show notes, I have from Pew Research. I have studies. There's studies from Love to Know, American Family Center. There are a lot of studies that will show that, despite what we want to believe, there's just a simple fact. So, and there's so much of this that, we're told, and my point of all of this is to say that we're told a lot of things that don't make sense. And as that grows, more and more of the stability within structure and the stability within children and in their minds, when that already happens and they're coming from maybe a broken home, and then they're being told, things don't really matter, the world's coming to an end, you can't fix it yourself, you're constantly being oppressed, you can't rise out of this. That's what leads to the drugs, the mental health, the guns. That's the issue. And I know it's an unpopular opinion.
Well, I
just
will
don't
say,
really care.
And I will say this: a couple of things I'll say too, as far as my own experience, that kind of ties into this. When I was, when this did happen, and even for years after, and into my, preteens there and stuff, I still prayed to God that they would bring my parents back together, because I still, no matter, even though it wasn't perfect, I still wanted what I knew, that family structure. And I'm not going to say that, and I'm sure, people out there can say, well, things can be really, really bad, and sure, they can.
Of course they can.
But I think, from my experience and for probably most people, it's kind of the middle of the road bad. You know what I mean? It's not like terrible, but it's not a great situation. But at the same time, that's all I wanted. I would pray for that. And and you're talking about the drugs and stuff. I think at least that was the one thing that did help me.
Yeah.
And it was that we did, when after the divorce, my mother started to get more religious.
Sure.
And that at least did kind of guide me through because I had the church to kind of help. And there was something in the Bible and there was something to lean on. There was something.
There was hope.
There was hope and there was something to lean on and there's something to teach you, that this is the way life is and the good and the bad, So, and that should all be coming from a family structure. But for me, that was my experience. And I think that did kind of help pull me out to where I didn't fall down into that trap,
Yeah, and that's another big thing. Like, religion and understanding, like Judeo-Christian beliefs come from whether you want to believe it or not, the general belief of good and bad comes from that system. And if you don't have that, then it's very hard to really understand the world. It's hard for you to understand that what I'm going to do with guns is bad because there is no good and bad.
Yeah.
If there is no God, then what is good and bad? What do you judge good and bad by?
Well, it goes back to what I said about it's nihilism.
Yeah, it's nihilism.
It's
You're
just
right.
You're just out for yourself.
There is no such thing as good or bad.
Yeah.
If somebody can explain to me what good and bad is, that's one of my favorite arguments. Like, okay, what's good? How do you prove it? What's bad? What does it matter if there is no higher power that says this is good and bad?
Well,
and if the higher power is just the government, well, that's a problem because that way it can change by who you vote for. And that means if that's the only thing you believe in and the wrong person's in power, that means they're bad, which means I can do whatever I want.
Which, if you want to go back to the Bible, that's one of the things that says don't believe in man, right?
Right.
Or false idols.
100%.
So, there you go. I mean, and then that's true. I mean, if we're talking about just that book, I mean, that's a book. It's a guide map of how to live, a life and to give you meaning to a life. Because, I mean, left to our own devices, I mean, look at what's happened. Just what you're talking about. I mean, we're looking at the world, and it seems like it's getting a little worse.
Not getting better.
Left to our own devices. I mean, even though we're so technologically advanced,
right?
We seem to still be kind of falling into this. I don't know. Mindset. Civilization seems to be declining. Put it that way.
Yes. Yeah, it's rough. Anyways,
I think and listen, hey, thanks for bringing up these points. I mean, yes, these are a lot of unpopular things to say, but I think people need to say them, and I think people need to stand up more and say them louder.
Right.
It's hard because you get knocked down for saying stuff.
Yeah, you
like
do.
This.
Like it's almost scary to say it.
Yeah,
almost scary to say. And I'm like, look, I have studies from Pew Research, the NCBI, IF studies. I have an article from The Atlantic that says the nuclear family is still indispensable, and it remains the stablest environment in which to raise children. Like we can say that it's not, but the truth is it is.
Well, and here's the thing too, we both have young families, and I want to be able to send my daughter out there into a world where there's other people that also have a lot of the same beliefs and that they want to hold society up, and that we can, live in a moralistic type society for her. So she has a place. I don't want her to live in a nihilistic society where it's basically, some kind of like, what's that video game where they just run around and break things,
kill everything,
Grand
Theft Auto or something.
Grand Theft Auto,
living in Grand Theft Auto.
I want her to live in a Grand Theft Auto society. I mean, I want her to be in a safe society that has, has morals and rules and laws that everyone abides by. And it's not going to be perfect. That's the thing. Here's the problem. When you always argue this with people, they're always trying to argue the perfect society. Oh no, you want the perfect. No, I don't want the perfect society. I just want a society that we can grow on. And just like you say, going back to originally what we were talking about with the hope that I felt when I was a child, even though we had, the Russians were going to attack Cold War, we had this, we had that, you still had that hope that it was going to be okay. It was going to be better. We can make it better. And now, like you say, it's almost like there's this fog of that has come down on us, where it's just like maybe it won't get better. It'll never get better.
Never gonna get better.
So anyway,
it's nuts, a bit nuts, but.
But anyway, and the great thing for you is, and you're always great about this, Max, too, is that you end up bringing the studies. I mean, you bring like they like to say now, the new wording, the receipts. You bring in the receipts.
I bring the receipts.
You bring the receipts to what you're talking about here. You're not just saying it. You're bringing the receipts.
That's right. I always bring the receipts. So once again, if you don't believe me, check the receipts. In the show notes. Okay, moving on. This is kind of fun. I'm calling this title, Got Guns? Screw you.
Screw your guns.
Screw your freedom. California Democrats want to impose an 11% tax on gun and ammo sales.
Of course they do.
Yeah, an excise tax. 14 Democrat assembly members are sponsoring a bill that would impose an additional 11% excise tax on all sales of retail sales of firearms, firearm parts, and ammunition. Which is great. It's really nice because what people this is one of my favorite. I just want to.
Well, let me ask you this. Yeah. Who's gonna? Okay, so you've got the guy who's gonna try to protect himself,
right?
So he's gonna walk in and buy ammo and pay this 11% tax.
Or what's gonna happen is he won't be. He's gonna be hard for him to because here's what people don't understand. When ammo gets expensive, it is hard for law-abiding citizens who want to protect themselves to buy enough ammo to get good with a gun. The best thing to protect somebody is, would you rather have, let's say you're sitting in a restaurant, somebody comes in, is like, I'm going to shoot this place up, and some psycho comes in. Who would you rather have sitting next to you? A guy who has been able to go afford ammo. And because ammo's cheap, he goes to the range on a weekly basis and practices and is a sharp shooter. So when that guy grabs somebody else, the guy sitting next to you pulls out his gun, pop, done. Or would you rather have the guy who's like me and says, I'd really like to be good. However, to practice with my gun is $1 a bullet. So I go to the range. By the time I even sight my gun in, I'm $40 in. Well, I practice 2 times a year. So that guy comes in with the gun and I go, and I try to take him out and said I shoot the wrong person. That's what ends up happening. Because the criminal who came in, they don't give a shit about the money they're spending on ammo because they've either stolen it or they're out to get killed anyways. So they have all the ammo in the world.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that you're going to have the guy who's going to run in here to try to go into buy ammo with 11% tax, right, which he can't really get, or you're going to have the guys that do these run on these stores, right, just bust in there. This mob that comes in and just scoops all the ammo off the shelf, and they just take out.
They just take it.
They just take it and they get out of there.
Really, the only thing it does, once again, is it makes the world less safe.
Yeah,
it does, because the people who are doing these things, they are not the ones trying to conserve their daily money, right? They're blowing all their money on ammo because they're trying to get good on ammo because they're expecting to die anyways. So this only hurts people because the law-abiding citizens who have a concealed carry weapon are less proficient with their guns to protect you and themselves.
Who are the ones that are doing? Not that it even matters because they have complete control anyway over there. But
I don't
who are
have
the
the
ones?
whole list of who's
Assembly. So Mia Bonta of
you have
Alameda.
the list? You see that? Where's that?
Says, however, Assemblywoman
supported the bill.
Oh, she supported the bill. Okay, let's see.
Oh, she says Mia Bonta. We have one. We have Jesse Gabriel. They don't name.
Of course, they don't name them all. Yeah. Huh? I would like to get a name on a list. I mean, not that it matters, but. Let's see. Scroll back up. Let's see. What does that say? The Public Safety Committee voted to pass the bill, Revenue and Tax Committee, on a 6-2 vote. The bill will be heard in the Revenue and Tax Committee. So on Monday, April 24th, it's going to be heard. So they've already voted to pass it. Californians are counting on us. Oh, so the legislation says places a 10% excise tax on all handguns and 11% tax on the sale price of ammunition and other portable weapons such as rifles and shotguns. Californians, this is their statement. Californians are counting on us to do everything we can to keep our children safe from mass shootings and gun violence, says Assemblyman Gabriel.
Step 1. I got a good idea. Step 1, secure the border. Right? Step 1, stop fentanyl and guns from coming over the border. That's step 1.
Here's the deal. As a California family person, I don't want this guy to keep me safe. Right. Thank you very much, or lady. I said Gabriel, but I'm not sure if that was the last name. Anyway, I'm not sure if it's he or she, but I don't want anybody in the government to keep me safe. Thank you very much. We do have a police protection.
Right.
But
on another thing, I have such an issue because at the same time, these very same people are saying things like the police don't protect you. We have to defund them. They're not going to be there on time. So if something happens, we've seen every city where you have less police, where they've been defunded. Even if they are funded, if something happens, it's going to take a few minutes for police to get there. Once again, as a citizen, just ask yourself this. You're sitting in a restaurant, you're in a bank, you're in wherever you are, somebody comes in with a gun. Who would you rather have standing next to you? A guy who's a concealed carry, who has a CCW license, who has been practicing weekly and is proficient with his gun, so he quickly knows how to take it out and take that shooter out. Done. Or imagine the guy is holding a hostage with a gun to the person's face. Who would you rather have? The guy who can actually aim correctly and shoot the shooter and take him out, or the guy who's like, oh gosh, I can't do anything because I'm not good with my gun. Or have nobody with guns and you have to wait for 10 minutes.
Yeah, call a cell phone. Maybe you get a cell phone, somebody's calling 911.
Yeah, you wait for 10 minutes as this guy shoots the place up. What would you rather have? Ask yourself that question, and I think for the most part, your mind will change.
And here's the deal. I mean, we all know, we all know that they're after the guns.
Right.
For the regular public, that's where they're after the guns. They want to disarm the regular public, and we all know this. This isn't a secret. It's out there. But here's the other point to that too. And if they're talking about specifically school shootings, right? Gun violence and school shootings. Here's the deal. I think, especially in this Tennessee one that happened, the person stated they went for the specific school because they had no security there.
Right.
They were an easy target. So why don't they take all that money that California loves to spend, and why don't they put it, maybe give some grant money to, instead of worried about farmers markets in certain places, let's give some of the grant money to the schools to be able to have an armed guard present, so it will deter a person from coming in. It may not stop everything, but it will deter them at least. I mean, that would be another option.
100%.
But as far as the tax goes, this is all a joke. We know they just want to get them. That's what they're doing. They're trying to find ways. They're trying to pull at heartstrings. They use every tragedy.
I'll put a study in the show notes. The Crime Prevention Center has done their study. 98% of all mass shootings happen where? Gun-free zones.
Yeah.
98%.
Now, let me ask you this. It'd be interesting. I didn't know you were going to talk about this. It'd be interesting to pull this up to find out exactly how many shootings that you're talking about, that a person that's actually armed that intervenes and saves people. How many times does that happen and it never gets reported?
I'll tell you right now, every shooting that's ever happened has been stopped by a gun.
You're saying every shooting?
Every shooting has been stopped by a gun, whether that's been the police with a gun, somebody else with a gun, or the shooter killing themselves. Every shooting has been stopped by somebody with a gun.
Okay.
Even if they haven't shot them, think about that. Has a shooting been stopped by somebody being like, "Hey, stop!" Like somebody who's shooting? No, maybe somebody with a knife, maybe, but I would say 99% of shootings have been stopped by somebody else with a gun.
Interesting.
That's how you stop.
Interesting. Well, I would say, even that one that happened down in Southern California. Remember, that was I can't remember. It was an Asian community. Remember, and they had and they had the real bad mass shooting, and then the guy was coming into another building at a different spot that they were having a dance at, and the person that was manning the door was able to wrestle the gun away from
amazing. So you're
from that person, and what you're saying, because the guy then had the gun, and then the other person ran that was coming in to shoot people. So you're right.
If you think about it, it's always stop with a gun.
Yeah.
Always.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's like, there might be an outlier there where somebody threw an axe and knocked the guy out, but I would say, I almost guarantee you, 99% of guns are stopped by somebody with a gun.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay,
so that's your great California.
Yeah, there we go. That was called Got Guns, Screw You. Here's a new one. This is called Responsible with Your Money, Screw You. No. Here it is. Our beloved president. I can't get over that. I can't get over this. So imagine, you've worked hard your whole life. Just think about this. Yes. You've worked hard. You've paid off you pay your credit cards off. You do everything. And Biden has done this. If you have a credit score of 680 or higher and you go get a mortgage, they add an extra 1 to 1.5% on top of you. If you have a credit score and you're shitty and you haven't been taking care of your money and it's 620 or less, it's a 1.75% less. So if you're good with your money, you get screwed.
So if you have a good credit score,
you add 1 to 1.25% on top of whatever mortgage rate you're paying.
And if you have a
bad credit score,
and if you have a large down payment,
or if you have a large down payment,
or both.
So even if you put, and by large, I mean 15 to 20%,
yeah,
which is what
if
they
you have
tell
a standard
down. If you have enough money to put a standard down payment on a house, you get screwed. So it's actually better to default on your loans and not put a down payment on your house, because in the end, you'll save money.
Well, this reminds me of the "you will own nothing and you will."
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah, no, this is so Biden. So this starts May 1st, right? It takes effect immediately.
And is this a president? How did this get into place? Is this a executive order? What is this?
I don't know.
Nobody's told me what the hell this is.
You know, it's funny because somebody was just telling me this too. As a matter of fact, just today, they were saying, I don't understand how Biden, I thought Obama was bad, but how Biden has the power to just throw all this stuff through.
It's insane.
To throw this stuff through. How could he do that?
I've never heard. This is full on commie socialism.
So to completely explain this, go ahead now. I know you said it's going to be hiked, but okay. So these are new rules from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, which is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and they control over 60% of the housing market here in this article from Fox Business. It says, and it's going to go into place on May 1st. If you have improved your credit score to 680 or higher, or if you have made a down payment of 15 to 20%, you will be penalized with a higher mortgage interest rates and new large fees on the transaction. So not only the interest rates are going to be high, but there's also going to be more fees on the transaction. So does that mean that with the fees, does that go into the price of the house? Did the real estate agents make less? What's the actual impact here?
I'm sure everybody gets screwed.
It's
actually like, it makes me really angry because I worked very hard. This is my story with my credit score. I didn't really care about, I didn't have a credit card until I was like 25. I just didn't, I was one of these guys, I don't believe in having a credit card. I'm going to pay everything cash. Until they wanted to buy something, and they needed a credit score. I was like, okay, I'll go apply for a credit card. And I go and apply, and my credit score is like 410. And I'm like, what? You usually start at a certain time. They usually start you at like 650, and you work your way up. It was crazy. And I'm like, this is my first credit card. How? And then I contacted the credit bureaus. There's an outstanding bill assigned to me from 1989.
Okay.
When I was 1 year old.
What?
From Valley Children's Hospital that somehow got assigned to me and my Social Security number. So for years, this was just affecting my credit score as outstanding debt. Oh, my
gosh.
Outstanding debt for 20-some-odd years of my life.
That is ridiculous.
So it took me I think this actually happened when I was 20. I lied. It was when I was 22. And it took me almost 3 years to get that cleared.
Are you serious?
But once it was cleared, they said, okay, we'll wipe it off. However, you have to rebuild your credit score.
Now you're going to have to go from the ground up.
So I started from like a 4, it was below 450, which is like essentially, might as well have no credit score, right?
Yeah.
And I had to work really hard because nobody would give me a credit card. So I had to get one of those. I forget what they're called. I had to give, it was HCB Bank, HBCB.
HSBC or something.
HSBC Bank. Yeah. They were willing to give me a credit card, but it was a credit card, that's kind of like a loan. I had to send them $1,000. And they had that $1,000 on file. And then they gave me $1,000 in credit. And I could only use $200 at a time per transaction.
Oh, my God.
And I had to do that for years until they bumped me up to $300 at a time, and then $400. And then eventually they gave me a $2,000 line of credit. And this went on forever. And then it wasn't until till I was like in my late 20s when I finally hit like 700, and I got like a Capital One credit card. But I fought for years, and now they're telling me that if I go get a mortgage, they're going to screw me. And I'm like, well, I'm about to say a bad word. Go.
What is it?
You know, like it just really makes me
No. Well, of
angry.
course it does. I mean, listen, that's the joke of it is that, you can be now you started off because of some special circumstances there. But the joke of it is that really the way you started off is probably the way it should be for people.
Sure.
They should start off with that.
Work your way up.
Then work your way up.
And the thing is, it taught me a lot about money.
Yeah, it taught you to respect it. Instead of just giving you a credit card with, here's a $5,000 limit, and then you go out and like most people do,
blow it. Yeah.
And blow, especially because you're so young. We're talking about the brain's not fully formed. They're giving them to you right out of, like 18, 16, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And, and you're out there just spending money. I'll just make the minimum payment, I think a lot of us, I mean, I've done that too. I've overspent a little bit and had to, and gotten into a little bit of trouble. Here's the other thing too. Didn't we just go through a housing crisis a few years back?
That's the other thing. I'm confused. So what does this do? They lower the credit score. So you get a mortgage with a low credit score. So they're assuming though that if they lower the rate, that the people who have this automatically know how to use money all of a sudden?
Well, yeah. I mean, the motivation for the banks to have these rules on there is because they want to make sure you can pay your mortgage.
Right.
They want to make sure that they lend you this much amount of money. I mean, most houses, let's say the medium cost is what, $300, $350 maybe?
Yeah.
For, right now, medium, especially in California. So they want to make sure that you're going to be responsible, that you are responsible to give you that money.
Yep.
So the American dream now is just to make it all equitable. So someone who has worked can't, basically gets penalized.
Right.
Someone who doesn't have any credit,
right?
And and the whole thing here is the equitable. I mean, we've talked about that many times.
Say it right. That's not what, I think I have an article that explains it. Yeah.
But of course, what it does is it penalizes people who are good with their money, people who have maybe been bad and learned lessons with their money. And like you say. Does it say in here? We're looking at the article right now, folks. On the
credit scores 679 will have fees slashed. If you have low, you also have lower fees, favorable mortgage rates.
So why? And let me ask you this:
if you have a lower than 620 FICO score and put a down payment of 5% or less, you get a 1.75 fee discount. Wow.
So what is it? What's the motivation? Here's another thing too. This is going to hit the mortgage industry, right? Because people are just going to get the people who back these mortgage companies are just going to get out of it because they're not going to be able,
unless they're making enough money on the increased fees and 1% extra from the people who are paying their mortgages.
But going back to the receipts, I'd like to see what the receipts are on how many people that have bad credit will foreclose on those homes.
You know what I'm realizing is it doesn't matter because we bailed out the banks last time.
So they just know they're just going to get a bailout.
They don't care. What does it matter to them?
Funny money.
Right? Like, really, what does it matter?
True.
Oh, crap, the housing market's going to crash. Whatever. Like,
well, who it hurts,
what
though.
happened?
No, but who gets bailed out? The big banks, right? They don't bail out the credit unions.
Oh, no, small banks are going to get screwed.
Out, the small banks, your community bank isn't going to get bailed out. It's going to be, B of A, JP Morgan. It's going to be all these guys that typically get bailed out.
I didn't realize that in January 2021, mortgage rates in the U.S. set a record low of 2.65%.
Wow.
Why wasn't I just buying homes up? Freaking 2.6. That's like free money. Think about that. You're paying 2.65%. You then take money out against your house.
But
you could just stick it like in any random mutual fund, make 4% at that point.
Well, yeah. If you're talking about just taking money out of your own house, but if you're talking about just buying up houses, I mean, I'm sure that 2.65 wouldn't work for someone who wants to slowly increase their assets and their wealth and say, well, I'll just buy a home, fix it up, and rent it out. Right? You can't do that anymore. They won't do that. They would penalize you to do that.
You can't even. The average person can't even buy a home anymore.
Yeah.
That dream is dead. If you don't own a home now, good luck.
What were the stats on that? I think it said that it was 58% of people will right now, especially young people, don't have that they can't afford a home. They can't afford to buy a home.
I think what it is. Let me see here. Yeah, let's see here. Mm-hmm. What does it say? 2023.
Looking it up.
You were close. Yeah.
What is it?
it used to be 75% of households owned their own home, but they're looking here, homeowner statistics 2023 updated. It says 56% of millennials, they will never essentially own a home.
They won't own a home. They can't own a home.
Yeah.
So,
Which means that the opposite, so 56, you go, so 44, it went from 75% to 44% home ownership, essentially.
Here's the crazy cycle, though. You know, the government has, essentially they've let this recession get out of control. They printed money and handed it out like candy. Right. And now we have crazy inflation. And so if they think that it's going to be okay to invest, that people are going to want to come in that can't afford a home, invest in a home, that if they make it easier, that's going to make the economy stable. That's not going to do it. Right. That's going to make things worse. It's like every step they make, it makes it worse. The question is it by design?
Yes.
Okay. Or is it just by stupidity?
Quick answer. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We have Larry Elder entering we have no more time, actually. We're 45 seconds over. Larry Elder's entering the Republican presidential race. Did you see that?
Oh, the blackface of white supremacy.
What they call him, the blackface of white supremacy. There he is. He's entering the race. Man, what a race. They call it a race because,
I think it's good I think it is good because, here's the deal, though. I think people are getting so caught up, especially on this side of it, about just between DeSantis and Trump. And I think we do need more candidates in there to kind of offset everything and to talk about issues because, you get these two guys in there and they're only going to talk about a couple of things, Florida or, the election, Florida or, they screwed me over. So here's the deal. If we get more people in there, I think it'd be good to get different views and to get some different issues that get brought out to the public. So I think it's great.
Did you see Don Lemon and Vivek Ramaswamy? You see that one?
No.
So I like Vivek Ramaswamy. I think if he ends up getting his name out there as somebody. So really quick, though, Larry Elder says, which I like, he's talking about what we said. He said he has a moral, religious, and patriotic duty to give back to my country that's been so good to me and my family. He said he's going to focus on border security and the disgraceful lie that the United States is systemically racist, and that he's going to bring attention back to the lack of fathers in the home. He said America is in a decline, but it's not inevitable. We enter a new American golden age. I like that because that sounds hopeful.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
Sounds hopeful.
Yeah, I know. I do like it. I think it's good. Good for Larry Elder to jump in here.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce his name. Vivek Ramaswamy.
I think I've heard Vivek. I've heard
I don't know. He came out hard with Don Lemon with some facts that a lot of people aren't going to like, but he was good because it was just straight up. Let's see here. This is from. Do you know the Cartier family?
The Cartier family.
They are a group of African-American men. They're pretty great. Let me see here. I turn this up.
Now, while you're looking for that, Vivek.
MSNBC.
Where's that coming out of?
Right. Fox is
I don't know.
Is that coming out of our headphones?
Fox just got
sued. Yeah, it is.
I think CNN is in the middle. Why'd they get sued?
Here, I'll post this link in the show notes.
So these are guys that are actually sitting around. They see what he did. Don Lemon.
Yeah, they're sitting around watching. They're watching this whole thing with Don Lemon.
And this is that family, the Cartier.
Yeah.
Do they have a YouTube channel?
They do.
Fox News. They admitted they by the Dominion company. Mm-hmm. They're a voting company on the opposite of. Oh. Yeah, they said some bad thing because All
right, so they're cut. I'm gonna jump to it.
Name like that, you're not gonna win the GOP, brother. All right. Let's go ahead.
It's not reductive. It's insulting. There are a whole plethora of reasons that for the Civil War. With due respect, I find your explanation reductive and actually insulting, including to Black Americans, to say that Black people today, compared to 1964, 1865, haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured.
Don Lemon wasn't ready.
Oh yeah, that's what's his face. Let's get into this. Yeah. The Officer Tatum.
DeSantis, to be quite honest.
So, anyways, this is a lot. This is a very there's a lot of stuff going on. But essentially, Don Lemon's arguing that over the Civil War, that it had nothing to do with that. It actually didn't help. Don Lemon's saying that it didn't actually help African Americans and blacks become more free. And Vivek Ramaswamy's like, yes, it did, and let me tell you why. And then it gets into this really ridiculous where Vivek has very just clear stats. He explains that.
Now Vivek, for a lot of people who don't know who he is, can you explain? He is isn't he like a entrepreneur from the is he Silicon Valley entrepreneur?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know his entire. Yeah, he's an entrepreneur. Let's see what
Isn't
he
the
is.
guy almost a billionaire or something?
Author and Republican candidate. He's actually apparently going to be running for president in 2024, which I find interesting. I think he officially put his name in the. Did he officially put his name in?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it looks like he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he speaks. He founded a biopharmaceutical company, Roivant Sciences.
There you go. Okay.
Which he had. I think he sold it. Did he sell it, or is he still part of it? But I think he sold it for like $3 billion or something. Smart dude.
Yeah.
He also then co-founded Strive Asset Management. If anybody knows that, Strive Asset Management is awesome. I actually put some money into them. But their big thing is focusing on investment firms. So typically you put your money into like a mutual fund or some sort of fund.
Yeah.
And it's going to just these big companies, big woke leftist
pool of companies.
Exactly. Yeah. He is putting money directly into companies that are opposing ESG scores.
Ooh, really?
So what they're doing is, as this group, Strive Asset Company, using the money you invest, is then, what you do is when you invest in a fund like that, they just buy stocks in a company. So his goal is to buy enough stocks in these big companies to get a board membership seat.
Okay.
In order to say to them, you can't do that stuff.
So he's essentially
Really cool.
he's essentially doing the same thing, but on the opposite side of what like Blackstone, BlackRock, all these companies do.
Because what people don't really get is the reason why some people are like, yeah, but why does Nike do this, or why did Budweiser do
what they
whatever?
did, yeah.
It's because they don't really own their company. They're publicly traded, which means that people who own the most stocks sit on the board and they decide.
Yeah.
His thing is, put your money in here, we'll get a board seat, then we'll start making things change, or at least put the kibosh on things. So I don't have like a ton of money invested, but I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna put some money into it, you know what? I'm gonna stop. I wanted to put my my money where my mouth is. I don't want to just say I'm against it and then I'm just putting money into Nike.
Yeah.
But this guy Vivek's only 37, dude. Like, that blows my mind.
Wow.
You see him talk and you see what he's doing, and I'm like, oh man, this old man, he's great. And I'm like, oh, he's 37. Jeez. He went to Harvard and Yale, so dummy.
He's boy, he's making me feel pretty
right,
pretty sad right now,
dude. It's crazy.
Well, so people can check him out. I mean, if they actually want to see this argument, they can check it out on YouTube. I mean, there's tons of clips in here.
Tons of clips and tons of other people, doing clips. I'll throw in. I don't know. You can see him talk about. There's so many clips, but it's pretty solid. I'll just put the first one I Google on there. That way you have it. I'll just put that here.
Well, here's the deal. We've talked a lot of negative stuff in this cast. Besides the pineal gland, going back to that, I think that was pretty positive.
Positive, definitely
positive.
positive.
But no, I think things can get you down. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I know we do talking like this, all that, the taxes and this and that. Yeah. But there are people with this Vivek and with Larry Elder and stuff. You can see there are people that are pushing to make a difference.
There really
people
are.
That are trying, even though the media and everybody is against them to because they're not carrying the negative.
Right.
And they're in there to basically squash their voices.
Yeah.
These people are still getting through, and I think if you guys get a chance, listen to their stuff.
Yeah.
Check them out. They are getting through. There's some positive. We can take away some positives from this,
True.
And there's cracks that are forming. There are cracks, and the light is shining through.
Yeah. People are throwing some punches.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Hey! Get him!
Was that DeSantis?
That was DeSantis. Yeah, that was
going against Newsom there.
Also, you said in a world where there's so much like darkness and bad news stories.
Yeah.
I do want to end on a high note.
Okay, let's do it.
Really good news coming out of Hollywood. The criminal charges have been dropped against Alec Baldwin. So.
Finally!
Yeah, finally. He killed that person.
Freedom at last!
And I don't know if you saw this. Can you believe this? Can you believe this shite? Did you see that they started filming again?
Yeah, they're filming
They're
again.
back filming?
Yeah.
Just drop it. Unless the family was like, no, we want to see it, and it's her last thing, sure. But if that's not the case, if the family's like, no, dude, you respect
But you've kind of scratched the surface with that world. I mean, there's people that got money in this thing, right?
Dude.
But they should have insurance on it, right?
Right. What they should have done is done a documentary about is
No, I think he is. He is doing a
He'll
documentary.
make money on it.
He'll probably make money. But here's the other thing: the armor, the charges are not dropped. They dropped on Alec Baldwin.
Oh, but not the armor.
But not the armor.
He threw her under the bus. Him under the bus.
Yeah. So it's all going to be. I don't know what happened there, but essentially she is still on the hook here with these charges.
Sicko, dude. So done.
Well, I'm hoping for a 30 Rock reunion.
Dude.
Now that Alec is free.
God.
Maybe he'll be in the next Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice 2 is coming out.
No.
Yeah.
I would see that if they got Michael Keaton. If they got Michael Keaton back.
They are. They're doing it. Michael Keaton's coming back.
Are you lying to me?
Winona Ryder is coming back. What's the girl that played in that Wednesday show? She's going to be the daughter of Winona Ryder.
Are you kidding me?
Nope, it's coming. Yeah.
Is this a fake one?
Nope, this is real. Beetlejuice 2.
Oh my God,
Yep,
I'm there.
Tim Burton's doing
Opening
it.
night, I'll be there.
Positive news.
That is positive
I'm
news.
the ghost with the most, babe. I'm the ghost with the most.
Hello.
Beetlejuice.
All right, guys, check us out at nofocusradio.com. I think the link is working again. If not, shoot me a message. Thank you for listening. Tell a friend. And as always,
5 stars, correct number of stars, folks.
there it is. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you. Buy us a coffee. And thank you to that guy. We have somebody giving us $1 a week. And
Thank you, sir.
I really
is
do.
it?
I don't know. It's anonymous.
Fan of the week right there.
Really appreciate it.
We'll get you. Oh, he's anonymous?
We have an anonymous donor who has been adding in some money. So,
Mr. Anonymous, thank you.
You know what? We really do appreciate it.
We do.
I think, honestly, I'm not even kidding. That's it means a lot because
it does. It really does.
You got some value, and every
and you're giving us some value for the value you got.
Thank you very much.
Value for value.
So appreciate it, guys. Buy us coffee, and we'll talk soon. Adios.
Later.